This is Electric Universe Eyes, and today I'm going to narrate an excerpt from the thearchive.org, written by Immanuel Velikovsky, titled Saturn and Jupiter. The history of this pair, the ancient Kronos and Zeus, or Saturn and Jupiter, as reflected in many traditions all around the world, tells a story that has nothing in it resembling the sedate and uneventful circling of these bodies on their orbits that modern astronomy asserts as a fact. Saturn and Jupiter are very much like the Sun. Were they not planets, they would be considered stars, like our Sun. Jupiter is nearly 330 times more massive than the Earth, and Saturn 80 times. Both planets are covered with gases which are in constant motion, like the gaseous atmosphere of the Sun. The Sun has 9 satellites and numerous asteroids and comets. Jupiter has at least 14 satellites and several asteroids and comets. Saturn has 10 known satellites, and 4 or 5 comets constitute the Saturnian family. Though these comets do not circle around Saturn itself, they are commonly regarded as related to the orbit of Saturn. Were Jupiter and Saturn free from the bonds of the Sun, they could be considered as stars or suns. Were two such stars set in space close to one another, they would constitute a double star system, both stars circling around a common focus. As told, the picture that emerges from comparative folklore and mythology presents Saturn and Jupiter in vigorous interactions. Suppose that these two bodies approached each other rather closely at one time, causing violent perturbations and huge tidal effects in each other's atmospheres. Their mutual disturbance led to a stellar explosion, or nova. As we have seen, a nova is thought to result from an instability in a star, generated by a sudden influx of matter, usually derived from its companion in a binary system. If what we call today Jupiter and Saturn are the products of such a sequence of events, their appearance and respective masses must formally have been quite different. A scenario such as this would explain the prominence of Saturn prior to its cataclysmic disruption and dismemberment. It must have been a larger body than it is now, possibly of the volume of Jupiter. Interestingly, for certain reasons, G. Kuiper assumed that Saturn originally was of a mass equal to that of Jupiter. At some point during a close approach to Jupiter, Saturn became unstable, and, as a result of the influx of extraneous material, it exploded, flaring as a nova which, after subsiding, left a remnant that the ancients still recognize as Saturn, even though it was but a fraction of the celestial body of earlier days. In Saturn's explosion, much of the matter absorbed earlier was thrown off into space. Saturn was greatly reduced in size and removed to a distant orbit. The binary system was broken up and Jupiter took over the dominant position in the sky. The ancient Greeks saw this as Zeus, victorious over his father, forcing him to release the children he earlier had swallowed, and banishing him to the outer reaches of the sky. In Egyptian eyes, it was Horus Jupiter assuming royal power, leaving Osiris to reign over the kingdom of the dead. If the descriptions of Saturn as a sun mean anything, Saturn must have been visible, in the time before its explosion, as a large disk. If this was the case, the increased distance between the Earth and Saturn could have been the result of the removal of the Earth from its place or of Saturn from its place, or both. Saturn could be removed only by the planet Jupiter, the sole member of the planetary family more powerful than Saturn. And indeed, the myth says that Saturn was removed by Jupiter.